Hey Rebel Rouser, I'm Alan Voivod, and this is Star Wars 7x7. So, episodes 9 and 10 of Forces of Destiny Season 2, they would be Chopper and Friends and Monster Misunderstanding. I would say these are two of the comparatively lighter episodes of the season in that, there's not a heck of a lot of meat to them. There's a bit with Chopper and Friends that you can grab onto, and we'll talk about that one first because, that's number 9. So it's right in order. Anyway, Chopper and Friends is taking place on Endor after the Battle of Endor, and we've already seen Hera and Chopper on Endor in a previous episode, and yeah, that was how we found out that they survived the events of Star Wars Rebels even before the finale of Star Wars Rebels, but be that as it may. So the episode has two Ewoks, one of them Nisa, and Nisa is Chief Chirpa's daughter, who eventually becomes the chief of Bright Tree Village, and there's a whole bunch of other stuff on Nisa, which I think we're going to end up covering in another episode, because Nisa is not an Ewok we've talked about a lot, and not one that gets talked about a lot, but apparently there's a lot more to this particular Ewok than meets the eye. No, she's not a Transformer. Don't worry about that. Anyway, so Chopper is getting taught spear handling tactics by Nisa and this other Ewok when Hera runs up and says, hey, there are a couple stray TIE fighters coming at the village, we got to go stop them. And Chopper is like, well, we need a crew, and Hera says, no, we don't have time to get a crew. So Chopper, of course, does what any mischievous droid would do, which is tell the Ewoks to come on board and be the crew. So, hey, they ended up piloting an ATST with Chewbacca, so why not help with the ghost, okay? Anyway, so they start flying around and they start manning the guns while Hera is in the cockpit flying, and Nisa actually manages to wing one of the TIE fighters and it's spinning out of control. It crashes into another TIE fighter. So the two TIE fighters were taken out by Nisa the Ewok. Good for her. Actually, I think Nisa even goes all the way back to the Ewoks cartoon, if I'm not terribly mistaken. So that is Chopper and Friends right there. It's just, a little bit of fun with the expanded universe history of Ewoks, and Nisa has actually been getting a little bit more canonization love in the last couple of years, as it turns out. Again, we'll talk about that in another episode once we get past the Forces of Destiny stuff. As far as Monster Misunderstanding goes, well, remember the giant Sando Aqua monster? That was the apex predator underneath the waters of Naboo, and that's the one that caused Qui-Gon Jinn to famously say, there's always a bigger fish. Well, one of those suckers is at a harbor dock, port place on Naboo, and it's slamming into this dock terminal, and a bunch of Naboo guards are shooting at it, and it's not having any effect at all. So Padme shows up and is like, what's going on? And they're like, well, it keeps attacking. And she's like, why? And they say, I don't know, it usually doesn't attack. So she's like, something else is going on here. So she leads them inside, and they find out that there are a couple of poachers inside that have captured a Sando Aqua monster baby. So she does something actually I thought was rather ill-advised for the baby, which was like they had it in a crate or a cage, and they were pulling the cage up on a rope and pulley system, so the baby was like pretty high up in the air, and she shot the cable, so the cage comes crashing down to the ground. So thankfully the baby was perfectly fine, and the poachers were caught in the cage crash, and so the guards took care of the poachers, and one of the guards opened the door so the baby could rush out and get to its Sando Aqua monster parent, and all's well that ends well, and apparently the drop was perfectly fine. And that, is really all there is to say about the Monster Misunderstanding, except that Padme is a senator at this time, for what it's worth. She's not a queen. So there you go. Anyway, light episodes, but some of them are Chopper and Friends and Monster Misunderstanding, and that's our wrap-up of those episodes from Season 2 of Forces of Destiny. Now, over on the audio version, we're not done yet over there. We're going to do Last Jedi Trivia. That's sw7x7.com/iTunes, or wherever you like to listen to podcasts. But for now, it just remains for me to say thank you so much for watching, and may the Force be with you wherever in the world you may be.